face, all the hell we raised. And I heard the old man say, God's great, there's good, people are crazy. Said I fall to walls in my voice. What brings you to Ohio? Sit down, patio, talk about too. Not every girl knew what I would put on through. Like two old boys of living, part of life and death. He lit a cigarette. So these damn things that kill. Yeah. God's great, there's good, and people are crazy. Last calls to the end. I said goodbye to him. Never talked to him again. In one sunny day, saw the old man's face. Front page obituary. He wasn't married. He left his fortune. Some guy he barely knew. His kids were mad as hell. Me, I'm doing well. Now drop day. Just say thanks. Hey. And I left a six pack right there on his grave. And I said, God's great. It was good.
Donald Trump wants to slash interest rates. Inflation comes roaring back.
God's great. It was good. People are crazy. God's great. It's good. People are crazy. Wish I was a pirate ship right down to Mexico. The oceans turn to silver, man. Beaches turn to gold. I make love to some senorita in that town. And I get on my boat and I sail the ocean. Wish I was a pirate there under my own flag. Running for no reason, no reason to turn back. Stop and run on my tongue, sails tight and torn. I fit in his face, riding that storm. Gotta get up on this highway, wake up this southern bay. So.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday.
Say, stay, stay. Gonna get up on this highway. Wake up and tell me. Show my face. Seconds to put on still check. Stay, stay. I wish I could not sun go straight in the night. Nothing but the stars, the moon, they have to be my guide. Steady as she goes, with my back to the wind. There goes cloud, can smoke out, it's a beauty.
Oh, udah panel, sorry. Order filled.
We'll get started here in just a moment or two.
Trying to call the whole year. All those faces and all the places, wondering where all this will be. I was hungry, I threw a bite. Ran into show. You wound up drinking all night. Changes, changes, nothing remains what the same. If we could laugh, we would all go insane. Eating time, then some digging, remind me of the places I've been. Wishing for good times that brought so much pleasure, makes me back again. If it's so, I could somehow just to know about the time. She's no so, she's I've seen more than I can recall. He changes, you changes, you nothing remains quite the same. If we could fly, we would say.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Give me just a second here. There it is. I just had a couple of things unorganized. Good morning, everybody. Hey, welcome back to the channel. Great to see everybody here. If you're new, I'm Jeff, and we talk about trading strategies, market setups, and how you can level up your game. Before we dive into all of that, if you can, if you're watching this on YouTube, well, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe and turn on that bell so you get all of our alerts when we do our live streams. Now today we got something special going on because we have our 8-8. You know, today's that lucky number 8 and 8 2025. For today, we do have some courses, some what we call our one-off courses, which are individual ones that are on sale right now. Our pre-market routine, and that's what I'm going to go through here in just a moment. All the information that I collect and put together for our pre-market routine. We have a short course over a couple of hours that goes over every little detail and why we look at certain things and way we do so we can anticipate the trading day. We also, if you're first time to subscribe to our live trading room, there is a $88 special for the first month. And there's a promo code LTR88. And you can look in the chat. We'll post it in the chat for you as well. Hey, good morning, Chris. Let's see. This is your channel to learn my exact pre-market process and trade setups, no fluff, and just real action. Okay. Now, we also have compliments of Elite Trader Funding, a proprietary trading firm. We have 3 evaluations to give away today to 3 lucky winners. So how it works is I'm going to ask you a couple questions during the live stream. Be the first one to answer, and the team will take care of you and reach out to you and get you those codes. Again, we want to recognize and thank Elite Trader Funding for the opportunity to share these evals to help people get on their way to a funded trading account. Okay. So stick around, make the best use of the 8-8 special today. And remember, these details disappeared tonight. Check the chat. My team is ready to answer questions and on the promos and the courses. All right. Now we're underway here. So happy Friday, everybody. Gold takes another shot at the highs. Okay. We did just jump in. I'm going to go over a couple of things. The Fed came out yesterday. Fed Bosic's comments yesterday set a real negative tone, and the markets really started dropping pretty good on that. I did enter Russell here. I'm looking for a target down to 2021 along the way. We might have a couple of little speed bumps there. I think we're going to take those out. Another thing I'll point out on the Russell is that we're getting really close to one of those golden cross scenarios. So a pullback today could potentially be a buying opportunity going into next week. Yeah. All right. So we just had the pit open on crude oil, natural gas. And we have a strategy which we employ called the open range breakout. The open range breakout trade is where we take the first 5-minute candle of crude oil. We mark the high and the low, and either take the break above or the break below that range. Okay. And it's just a simple strategy. And this is where when the pit opens, when the physical market opens, the futures adjust to what the pit is doing. Okay. So, or the physical market. So we look for that discrepancy between the cash market, the physical market, and the futures. Okay. And that usually gives us a good trading opportunity on crude oil around that pit open. Okay. Now, I also take into account the Globex range. Okay, kind of little lesson here why we do this trade. The Globex range is a buck 25, and the daily ATR is $1.88. Now, a couple of things to remember. I choose not to participate in the crude oil open range breakout trade when the Globex range compared to the daily ATR is right about that 40 to 70% range. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not a good trade opportunity. It just, well, I collected data and noticed that when the Globex range compared to the daily ATR is about that middle, then it's more of a choppier market open. Okay. Now, if the Globex range is narrow or wide, we look for the bull bear trap, which would be the first supply zone or demand zone below the Globex low or high. And when it's a narrow range, we look for a longer running trend. Okay. So I have it marked. I'm just going to observe on this one. But that golden cross on the daily chart could lead to some more bullish move. Now, we also have in our pre-market routine this morning, there was what's at stake for oil prices ahead, Trump's Friday deadline for Russia-Ukraine ceasefire. Okay. So we might see some things going on there, and we're also going to keep an eye on that because that might be some big volatility around crude oil, natural gas. We have seen some tariff things come across where more of these countries are starting to buy or have interest to buy U.S. energy, which is natural gas, crude oil. Wow, nice drop on Russell. Let's come back to the Russell. Okay, I'm going to take some risk off that trade, come down to 22.36. We started off with $130 worth of risk on the trade, and I'm now going to adjust that down. Yeah, it's come right down to that 22.35 area. So I've adjusted my risk down to about $42. And we'll see how the rest of this plays out. Now, there is an area right around in here. Notice that we have on the price chart, we have that little resistance area. So this is an accumulation of orders. Okay, so we want to be careful as price comes down there. There might be some buy orders down there. Okay. It's not a place where we'd look to take a long position, but it is a place we want to be defensive as price comes into that buy territory there. Okay. So we'll keep a close eye on that. And I think I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit of the profit over here. So we got 3.
Order filled. Order filled.
Okay, I've taken a couple of trades off of that, or a couple of contracts off. So I've eliminated my risk on the trade. And now I'm going to let the trade work out. All right, let's drop out to S&P. S&P right now is an inside day. So you can see the prior session's high and low. Price trading inside the prior session's range is often more choppy, difficult for trading. Short-term trade expectations until price drops into demand or goes up into a supply zone. Okay. Also take note, look at the Dow 30 stocks over here. Extremely light volume right now. Okay. Now, what does this indicate to us? Well, when we have the extremely light volume going on here, okay, what this can do is lead to more whipsaw and price volatility, okay, especially if there's economic reports or something coming out, okay. Now, an inside day, we're already cautious about the market environment. trades taken later in the session tend to have better results. Okay, and I'm talking about 10:30 Eastern. Okay. Yeah, we have a Fed speaker, but no economic reports other than the Baker Hughes rig count, which is around crude oil, uh, which is usually a non-event, but I do post it on there. Okay. There is another Fed speaker Saturday night, okay, that won't really impact our trading and our market condition, but all of these Fed chairmen right now are grandstanding to get in front of the President Trump, okay, to say, hey, I want to be a candidate. Okay. I think he already has his short list right now, and with Bosic's comments yesterday, he probably got taken off that list. Okay, if he was even on it. I don't have access to that. But at any rate, okay, there is no economic announcement, but we want to see what Alberto, his views are on, and Bosick is not necessarily the main character to watch, but he did have a strong impact on how the market's performance was yesterday and seeing things going forward. Now, the other thing that I want to point out is that Bosick made reference to a lot of that BLS data, Bureau of Labor and Statistics. Okay. Now, last Friday, based on the non-farm payroll numbers, okay, we noticed that the person in charge of putting those numbers together was terminated and escorted out of the building within 30 minutes after President Trump calling for it. Okay. Again, some of the truths are starting to come out in the marketplace. And if these numbers have also been cooked, then, the Fed is making all of its decisions based off of those numbers that are coming out from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. Um, you know, we've got to watch how this is going to be played out because it's being played out very quietly. Okay. Yeah, we started seeing it pop up in the news media yesterday, but we don't know how they're going to fix it yet or who they're going to appoint to fix it. Okay. So that could be some additional drama going on in the market there. Okay. So with the very light volume in the Dow 30 stocks, okay, and an inside day, see what we're doing here is a pre-market routine, okay, which is on sale today with special promotion price. And if just watch the chat, the team will post that in there. But what I'm covering now is highlights from the pre-market routine, something that we go through every morning here. These pieces of information have been documented for many years that I've been collecting and using as a indication of how to trade the open session. Inside days have been very, very choppy. They tend to be whipsaw. We do have a place right here where we have some resistance in the overnight session. Okay. Now, breakout trades often fail. Okay. A little whipsaw, low volume. You start putting the pieces together. You start understanding the trading environment that you're about ready to step into. So we look for zone entries only until we have broken outside the prior session's range. And that includes even if we drop down to the smaller time frames, we're going to look for zone entries only. Okay. Now I'm on a small time frame on the S&P. I have an area down around that 6,372. We have our zone based on our leg base method and approach. The blue dotted lines are a fair value gap inside of the leg base group of candles. Okay. So I have two places where I'm looking to make a trade on the S&P. Okay. Going long, 63.72, stop loss, 63.70. Okay. Going short, 63.87, Stop loss 63.89-ish. Okay. So right now with the small time frame, I'm looking at about 2 points risk on taking a short, 2 points risk taking a long. Okay. If you're trading a mini contract, that's going to be in trading one, that's going to be about $100 per contract. If you're trading one micro, well, that's going to be about $10 per contract. Okay. You decide what the risk is you're willing to take based off of your trading plan. And everybody should have that number somewhere in your mind of what you are willing to risk as part of your trading plan. Okay. And I don't know that number if you're what your number is. For our live trading sessions, okay, and the demographics of most of the students that we have that watch, I tend to keep my risk trading micros right around $200 per trade. Okay. So that's just kind of what I'm into. And you can see that based off the Russell, my initial trade, 5 micros, I had $130 risk. I could have added some more micros, but I just stuck with the 5 in the pre-market. Okay. But I could have went up to about 8 or 9 micros and still kept it right around that $200. Position sizing and risk management is very important, but it is part of your trading plan, not part of the information gathering, but part of your trading plan. Okay. So S&P inside day, light volume on some of the large market cap weighted stocks. Okay. I use the Dow 30 as an odds enhancer. I look at how many Dow stocks are negative over 94 cents and how many are positive over 94 cents to establish a range of the cash market stocks versus the futures. Now remember, futures follow the cash. So I want to see what the cash value is using the Dow 30, 1 Dow stock negative and 5 positive. That leaves us a net result of 4 positive. Okay. Take that 4 and multiply it by 8. 4 times 2. Sorry, 4 times 2 would equal 8. So take that number, sorry, take the number of Dow stocks negative and positive greater than 94 cents, net the results. Here we have 4 positive. Multiply that 4 positive by 2 points. Okay. That'll give you 8. The cash market equals positive 8. Futures are trading at positive 14. Futures are overbought relative to cash market. Okay. Now, when futures are overbought going into a supply zone, we have an opportunity to take a trade short. Okay. Kind of stretching the rubber band, and then we'll see cash and futures balance out just after the open. So, with that information, a trade setup going short, okay, is going to be kind of that rubber band stretched up, and then we'll look for additional sellers up around this area and the probability of going short once price gets up to that level. Okay. All right. NASDAQ. NASDAQ stock futures also an inside day, inside the prior session's range. Okay. Inside days tend to be choppy, designed to take your money. And you can also see that I have the top large market cap weighted stocks. I think there's 9 or 10 of them on here. Very low volume on these. Even Nvidia's only got 2 million shares traded on it here in the pre-market, and that's pretty light for Nvidia. Okay. Taking daily measurements and monitoring the volume in the pre-market and at market session can make you more aware of potential volatility. Now, we already know that volatility is pretty whipsaw on an inside day. Okay. So with that, hi Vish, how do you check cash? I know futures we can check the ES. Okay. Keep in mind, on the Dow 30 stocks, all the Dow 30 stocks trade on the S&P 500 index. Okay. This is why the S&P and the Dow are the highest correlated indexes. Okay. All the Dow 30 stocks trade on the S&P index. Now, the S&P index, the NASDAQ index, and the Russell are market capitalization weighted. That means the larger market cap stocks move the index more than the smaller market cap. Okay. The Dow is a price weighted index. So with the Dow being a price weighted index, pretty much each one of the stocks have kind of an equal value. So with that kind of foundation there, we take the number of Dow stocks that are trading greater than 94 cents and less than 94 cents, and we net the result. Okay. The cash value is the stocks. The stocks are real ownership. Okay. They have value. Futures are a derivative. They follow a cash market. That's why they say futures derive their price from the cash. So we want to see if futures are trading above the cash market, trading at a premium, or futures are trading below the cash market if they're trading at a discount. Futures above cash, we're looking for a short opportunity once price hits supply. Futures below cash, we're looking for price to hit demand zone and be oversold. Okay, trading at a discount. So right now, one Dow stock negative, and we have 6 Dow stocks now positive over 94 cents. If we net the result, we get 5 positive. Take that 5, multiply it by 2 points to get a value of cash. So we're looking at 10. Cash equals 10. Compare that to futures. Futures are trading at 15. S&P futures are overbought by 5 points relative to cash. Now, why is all this important? Right around the session open, we often see that futures and cash tend to balance out. Okay. So we're looking for this discrepancy for a directional trade. Okay. As the session opens. Okay. If futures are overbought, okay, they're going up to find sellers. If futures are oversold, they're going down to find buyers. Okay. So we look for that balancing to come into play around the session open. Okay. So being aware of whether futures are overbought or oversold relative to the cash market is a key indication of what type of trade I should be looking at, especially if we're trading inside the prior day's trading range. Good morning, Liz. Okay, let me come back to that question so we can get some trades set up. But overall, when you start looking, if you look up on Investopedia, the resource, and you look up a market capitalization weighted index versus a price weighted index, okay, you can get a lot more definition of what is a price weighted index. The Dow Jones is the only price weighted index right now that we watch. Okay. All the other indexes are based on large cap weighted. Okay. Good question. Great question. All right. Now back to the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is an inside day. Inside day is a little choppy, designed to take your money. We're looking for a zone entry. Okay. So we're not looking to take the breakout trade. Breakout trades could be a little more whipsaw and choppy. Okay. And we do have a nice resistance on the a larger time frame, 20-minute chart. Okay. Yeah, we have demand zone down about 23,000 for 10 area. This is a place where I would consider looking for a long trade opportunity. We have a fair value gap, not a zone per se on a 5-minute chart, but let's drop down to 4 minutes, see if we can get leg base, or let's go out to 6. Yeah, that whole area is a leg base right here. So price coming back up into about 23,557. That's a place where I'd look for some sellers to step in for the NQ. Okay. Now you can adjust the time frame up or down to get your leg base. If you feel the zone is too wide, then adjust the time frame. But consider using the distal line, the one that's furthest away, as a protective stop loss. If you take the trade short, make sure that you're always managing your risk. And also, if you're taking a trade long, we use the leg base group of candles as where we have our protective stop loss, that distal line there. Okay. All right. Let's see. We have the Dow. Dow futures are an inside day. Choppy, narrow range. We're going to look for a zone entry. Be aware of the resistance level there, because traders are more likely to take a breakout trade looking for some recovery. Now, if you understand what that fair value gap is, you can see that there's an area right in here. You could visualize price breaking out to the upside right into that fair value gap area, which is kind of that headwinds area. Okay. So I would be looking and watching that area and get the little fake out breakout and then price coming back down. We have unfilled gap on the Dow down right around that 43,700 area. Okay. All right, we're still in the Russell. Let's take a look at the Russell. Russell is also an inside day. Okay. Russell has the same picture as far as a resistance level. Okay. On inside days, we tend to look for demand zone or supply zone entries. Okay. Rather than taking any breakout trades. Now, I also want to point out that there is a fair value gap right in this area here. Okay. So you could visualize that little breakout price coming right up into that 2240. Now, this is not a zone. The zone is based off a leg base group of candles. We have one right up in this area around the pivot point. Okay. We're looking for a fair value gap inside of a zone, and this one is not inside, so could be that little whipsaw. Okay. I have taken trade on the Russell a little earlier, right before we started. Okay. I have adjusted my stop loss. I have about $42 worth of risk. Actually, price is coming right back up there. We're just about session open. Yeah, I think now that I've adjusted my stop, it looks like I'm going to get stopped out as prices coming into that fair value gap area. Okay. So I'll wait for a little bit of a turn on that one. Okay. But I'm going to adjust up to 37 here. 37.20. There we go. Okay. As we start off the session here, we see the trend is about that right in the middle of that consolidation. We're seeing our advancing issues over declining issues on the bullish side. And we're seeing that there's more upticks and downticks coming into this would be more of a buy program where we see that extreme area of buyers coming in, okay? Now, the tick, the trend, and the advancing issues over declining issues, all in relation to the NYSE trading, okay? Now, many of those stocks that are on the S&P 500 or the volatility index, okay, that is associated with the S&P 500 are traded on the NYSE, so we're using the VIX as well. VIX is not low, VIX is in that complacency area and not showing any fear going on there, okay? Crude oil, yep. Just to prove my point, we talked about the Globex low and high, that range compared to the daily ATR. And again, just to reiterate, that's why I don't trade the open range breakout trade when the Globex range compared to daily ATR is around that 50% area. Quiet session here on natural gas. Natural gas is also around that midpoint, limiting my trading for the open range breakout on natural gas. Daily ATR was about 13 cents, and we had 8 cents here. So the Globex range was between 40 and 70% of the daily ATR. Gold is hanging out. Our exchange traded funds all have gapped up. Okay. But I'm not sure I would determine this as a breakaway gap or a runaway gap. Okay. It is important to watch the exchange traded funds because of different types of gaps that we see. Breakaway gaps often retrace and feel about midpoint of a gap area, whereas a measuring or runaway gap, Ralph Nelson Elliott labeled it a measuring gap. No, I'm sorry, H.M. Gartley labeled it as a measuring gap. In today's market, they call it a runaway gap. Okay. A breakaway gap is when price breaks away from the existing trend. Okay. A measuring gap is that price consolidated sideways and then gapping up or gapping down. And then, of course, you have your exhaustion gap. So I'm not coining any of these gaps right here as one of those specific gaps. Okay. Now, if we labeled it a measuring gap or runaway or even an exhaustion gap, we would have a trading strategy that we would look at around that. Okay. All right. Russell's on its way. Tested this area. We're looking for it to break. All right. S&P. And we got one down stock down and we have 10 up. 9. Okay. So right now, cash and futures are oversold by about 3 points relative to cash. Okay. Also take note on inside days, our two largest market cap weighted stocks I use as an odds enhancer, like Apple and Nvidia. Now, Apple could be interchanged with Microsoft, which they're in close range right now for who is the largest market cap. Okay. I'm just giving it a couple more weeks to confirm. But if Apple and Nvidia are going opposite directions on an inside day, that's just going to alert us that the market conditions are still very choppy. Okay. If both of them are going up or both of them are going down, then we have a nice trending environment. So a lot of things that we're documenting or sharing with right now are things that we relate to help us understand the trading environment. Not to make a trade, but understand the trading environment. Boy, Russell's picking up some good steam. Okay. Just need to clear some of these lower lows. Oh, sorry, these lows. We have a target in mind about 22, 21. Okay. How about the Dow? What do we got going to Dow? Ooh, Dow went right up into that fair value gap area, which is and pulled back. So let me reiterate. Inside days are choppy. Breakout trades often fail. Okay. Zone entries are a better choice. Okay. You see how price broke out on a smaller time frame and pulled back in. So just looking for a zone entry, it's going to be a little bit lower on the Dow. So nothing ready on that. NASDAQ. Okay. Price took out that area. Remember, we have that Globex range. Price breaking the Globex. Breakout trades often fail. Okay. I don't have a zone up here for the NASDAQ until it gets up to our prep screen area. Okay. But I want you to take the time to ask questions through this. Generally, on an inside day, markets can be a lot more choppy, designed to take your money. Okay. I spend a little more time teaching because I want to keep you guys safe. Okay. All right. Let's jump back out here. How about we do one of the let's do one of the questions here. Let's do a giveaway. Compliments of Elite Trader Funding, a proprietary trading firm. We have a $50,000 eval account to give away. So I'm going to give a quiz question. I'm going to pop this quiz over here. Oops, I don't want to give the answer away. Sorry about that. Which of the following is not a core element in TMI's trade plan? A trade direction, not a key element, okay? A, trade direction. B, risk reward. C, astrological timing. D, entry confirmation. So type your answer in there. The first correct answer, we'll get that first. It's a Virgo. All right. So the team's watching. Answer the question in the chat, and we'll send that out to you right away. Okay. Okay. Let's get back out there. Russell. There we go. Nice trade on the Russell. All right. Thanks, Ken. Nice job on that. Now keep vigilant watching because we have two more $50,000 accounts to give away by compliments of Elite Trader Funding. Okay. Now activate those right away. Okay. Get started on passing that evaluation, kind of hang out with us, learn what we're doing with the pre-market routine and the trading. Okay. Now I'm watching this one here. Notice we have this little support. Now ultimately my target's to another demand zone. Okay. Or even a fair value gap down there. Okay. Now fair value gap. Oh, there we go. Nice. Fair value gap. I actually learned about this in the Elite Trader Funding chat room. Okay. You have some very experienced and very strong traders
Order filled.
in their Discord room. Okay. So a lot of times they'll bring up some topics like ICT trading concepts was another thing that I picked up from their Discord room. Okay. As traders share, it's good to have a good community. I don't discount anybody's way of looking at the market. I want to learn from it. So I learned a lot about the fair value gap. I associated the fair value gap inside of our leg base as a great place for a trade opportunity. When you have a fair value gap outside of the leg base, these become targets for potential profit. Okay. Kevin, we're running the YouTube channel, a live stream as well. That was over in the other chat room there. But you need to know the answer, don't you? The answer was C. Oh, you already know. Thank you. Yeah, now keep in mind we have two more giveaways. $50,000 eval account. Again, compliments of Elite Trader Funding. Go out and check their website, check their stories, and again, get signed up in their Discord room so you can pick up on some of those nuggets like I did with the fair value gap area. Okay. All right, so we are now about 15 minutes into the market session. Let's come back out and look at the Dow. Whipsaw, choppy. Price hasn't come into a zone. Okay. NASDAQ. Ooh, nice strong move on the NASDAQ. Let's bring that out. NASDAQ is coming up into a smaller time frame zone. Just want to adjust the time frame, see if there's, yep, it's right in there. So maybe we're going to get a good shot at this NASDAQ zone entry. All right, it's right there. Okay, now every trade incurs risk. Breakout trades often fail. Okay, so I'm looking for an opportunity to take a trade right here. I'm going to keep my position size small right now. Again, I keep it right around that $200 range.
Order filled.
I'm going to set my stop loss right there about 23,629. Okay. Actually, I could take a couple more. If I get another opportunity, I'll add on to it. Now, if you want to learn more about our techniques, our places where we take trades, position size, how we do that pre-market routine and stuff, then check out our website, themarketinstitution.com. Okay. And take advantage of the sales that we have going on today with the 888. Okay. All right, so we had a nice little entry, again, based off that fair value gap. That fair value gap was inside of our leg base group of candles. Now we're still an inside day, so short-term profit taking is also part of the game. Okay. Okay, let's see what we got going on S&P. S&P is right there around that breakout area. S&P has taken out my prior zone. Let's look over. Remember, breakout trades are a little more elevated risk, but if you're quick to take profits,
Order filled.
okay. If you're quick to take profits, and I think I just got stopped out. Okay. If you're quick to take profits on an inside day, that's what you have to be willing to do. Sorry. Yeah. I'm gonna come back to, all right, I'm gonna set this trade up ahead of time. Let me double check the news out there. Oh, just in giving compliments to the Discord room in the from Elite Trader Funding and team, can we go out and post that link in our chat for people if they want to check it out? The Discord link. The other thing I learned out there or was given some information on was this website here, Financial Juice. Okay. Now, back in the day, I used to have a Bloomberg terminal. Okay. Cost $3,500 a month to have that terminal. This is 25 years ago. Yeah. It was pretty expensive back then. It's still expensive today to have that Bloomberg terminal. This is one of the closest things to a Bloomberg terminal. The ones that have the blue dots are kind of like the breaking news. And what you'll start to notice on here is that even with posts from Trump and things like that out there, breaking news, these things get posted, and then it takes about 30 minutes, well, right about 28 minutes is what we've been timing, for the big media companies to step in. Okay. So the way that information is disseminated is really, really important. Okay. Because a Trump tweet comes out almost 24 to 28 minutes before Benzinga, FX Street, MarketWatch, CNBC, CNN, all those come on and start talking about it. Okay. So having an informational advantage to kind of see what's coming out. Okay. All right. All right. Let's get set up on the S&P. I got a nice round number, 6,400. Okay. Now with the S&P, keeping my position size around what I'm willing to risk on a trade, I realized that if I enter the trade at 6,400, okay, I'm going to use that round number. I have about 12 points worth of risk. Okay. So that means I can trade roughly, I'm going to start off with 5, but I think I just kind of did a calculation in my head real quick. I think we can do 6, but I'll start off with 5. Selling short 6,400. And then coming up and placing a protective stop loss based on my personal trading plan, keeping my risk, and in the live trading room, keeping my risk right around that $200 range. Okay. Now your risk can be different. You can have more risk if you like. That's your trading plan. Okay. All right. Selling short 6,400 area, and my stop loss will be right up there. If I move that 6412. There we go. Let me lock that in place. Sometimes I get a little excited. I start clicking on the wrong things and move my lines, which can be costly sometimes. All right. Stop loss. All right. You got that? Let's come back out to the NASDAQ. NASDAQ making a pretty good stride up there. I did get stopped out. And we had a, let's double check. I don't know what the, oh, there it is. Oh, we had some trades on there. So I won't be, I think we had like about $100 risk on it. Okay. Now, as price is coming deeper into the zone, keep in mind your higher time frame. On a daily chart, if we're going to make a double top, then markets are going to start to come back down. That 88.6% retracement is right around that 23,734. Okay. I also want to point out, if you're looking at the tick Q, okay, which is a tick on the NASDAQ 100. Okay. Oh, sorry, the NASDAQ exchange, not the 100. Okay. The composite. We're just going back and forth above and below that zero line. There's not a lot of buying, there's not a lot of selling. Okay. As far as the upticks versus the downticks. Now, I did get stopped out of this one. I'm going to look to re-enter this trade coming out of this area. Okay. And I'm going to look for that short opportunity around that 23,605, and I'm going to keep that stop right about that 23,628. If price is going to come down, we're going to look for these opposing zones. So I'm going to start off with my 5 contracts. 23,605. Sell stop. Once I'm filled, I'll come back in and place a stop loss at 23,629. Okay. Price keeps going up, I won't get into the trade, but if it starts to come down, I want to sell stop market. Okay. That's kind of the red line is going to be a reference to where I'll place my stop loss. Okay. Okay. And Russell. Okay, we're still in the Russell. We did break that support area. We took out all those buyers. Let's come back out to the S&P for a moment. All right, we still have 1 Dow stock negative, and we got 10 Dow stocks positive with a couple right close. All right, so we got 10 positive, 1 negative. That leaves us with a 9. 9 times 2 would be 18. Cash equals positive 18. Futures are trading at positive 32. Futures are overbought almost by 20 points, 18 points relative to cash. Okay. As we are approaching a supply zone. Let's see. Team, do you have that? Let me grab it here. Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, I want to grab that link from the Discord room for the Elite Trader funding. Let's see. How do I get it? Invite people. There it is. All right. Now remember, there are some advanced traders in the Elite Trader funding space. Okay, they do have some rules,
Filled.
and pay close attention to what they do. Okay, great resource. Oh, okay. You want to post that in the chat for us? I think, yeah. Thank you. All right. We're about 4 minutes early into this zone. Okay, remember, we're still in inside day. I need to come back in and get my stop loss, 64.12. All right, now I'm $100 over my sizing my position to a 200, okay? So instead of just sitting there looking at it and say, well, no, I'll give it 300. No, your trade plan says 200, adjust your size, okay? So I can adjust it minimal right now. I'm short, so I'm going to buy one back.
Order filled.
Come back up and look. I'm still over by about $40, so I'm going to buy one more.
Order filled.
Okay, now I'm about 180. I'm within my trade plan. Okay. And let's cancel that. Change this to 3. There we go. Remember, your trade plan is very important. And if you don't have one, then seek out to find one. Now, you have a personal trade plan around how you make trades, how you enter the market, the application side of it. But you also have a trade plan based off the information gathering. The things that we were talking about today, okay, indexes starting off as an inside day, light pre-market volume, the trend, the VIX, all indications are pointing to a potential quieter session open, okay? The things we have to be monitoring a lot more closely is the news and things that are coming out of Russia, Ukraine, which might affect oil, natural gas, and so on. And any other tweets we did have? Yeah, we got about 20 minutes before the Fed chairman starts to speak. Okay. So we don't know how, well, I don't know how Alberto Muslim, what is his viewpoints? Okay. Is he far left? Is he far right? Is he in the middle? We don't know. Okay. But we need to be paying attention because things could get a little excited around that, as they did with Bosick coming out and being a little stronger in opinion yesterday. Okay. NASDAQ. Okay. Still looking strong on the NQ. Dow. Now, as long as we're an inside day, I'm going to be waiting for zone entries. Okay. And that's part of our pre-market routine. Our information gathering says, hey, this type of a trading environment can be a little more tough. Okay. Can be a little more difficult for trading. Once you start to observe these things, then you will incorporate it into your trade plan. If you're just kind of listening and say, well, yeah, I could consider. No, challenge it. Verify it. Because once you verify the information, then it becomes your information. Okay. Looks like we're going to, remember, no breakout trades on inside days. Okay. Russell is still inside the prior day's trading range. So we're looking for a zone entry. The target, 2,221 area, that is a price target. The zone to look to go long is down around 2216 to 2214 area. Okay. Now keep in mind, you can take a profit anytime. Okay. All right. Let's do a quiz question. We got another 2 giveaways, $50,000 account, eval account, compliments of Elite Trader funding out there. Question is, in Jeff's pre-market routine, he often checks the overnight session first. Why is this important for traders? So what's the overnight session called? Globex range. Now, so why is this important for me to check? A, to see if the market is open early. B, to know how the Globex or the global markets moved and spot setups before the US Open. C, to check yesterday's news. D, to find out which stocks paid a dividend overnight. Again, in our pre-market routine, why do we check the overnight session? A, to see the markets opened early, to know how the global markets moved in spot setups before the US Open, to check yesterday's news headlines or find out how stocks paid out a dividend. All right. First one that answers correctly, the team will reach out to you. Okay. All right. Getting a little bounce up here on the Russell. Now keep in mind, you can take a profit anytime. Okay. All right. Got a winner. Thank you, team. All right. We're seeing Apple's got a strong move, taking a little heat on the trade. Now, traders that get a little emotional when they start seeing red or even green on the price chart. Okay. If you have a trade setup and you've managed your risk, you properly size your position based off of your trading plan. While you're watching this, if you get a feel that you're uncomfortable or you don't like it, it's okay to step out. Do not let ego say, I gotta let it work. I gotta prove that it works. I gotta prove that I'm right. Trust that emotional feeling. If something's not right, you can always step aside. Okay. Now, I still think this is going to work. Okay. We are getting a little buying pressure coming into the marketplace, but I don't have a place to go long at the moment. The only places I have right now are a place to go sell short to get a move back down to find the buyers. So I'm willing to stick it out myself. Okay. But if you're feeling uncomfortable because you're seeing some losses on the screen or a negative P&L, okay, downsize the position or even step aside and then watch how things play out. That gut feeling could be exactly right. Okay. We do have Fed speaker coming out in 17 minutes. Okay. And we have one more giveaway to do. Okay. And it's a pretty good question. All right. One Dow stock down, and we're starting to gain. We got 15 up. So 14 times 2 is 28. S&P futures are still overbought relative to cash by about 18 points. Oh, sorry, 10 points, 11 points. Futures are trading at a premium. We want to look for that opportunity to be short. Okay. All right, crude oil popped up, broke outside the Globex range. Natural gas, and let's take a look at our other potential. Now, our pre-market routine or the pre-market subscription does include other educational and trading ideas. Okay. And I post these a little bit on the larger time frames. We had a lot of announcements come out about the Japanese yen or the Bank of Japan yesterday, which could impact the Japanese yen. So I do have a trade entry about 0.677 80 on that Japanese yen. There we go. Looking at potentially a long opportunity around that area. This is also one of the price patterns that was mentioned and used by like the Ray Dalios out there, but it was identified by Richard Wyckoff. Okay. You have in the base area, we had the markup, we had the base, we had the fake out, We're looking for a move back up. We're just trying to find the buyers before that. Okay. So additional trading ideas, looking, silver's been moving up nicely. We got some supply around $39 range and demand down about 37. Copper is one to keep a close eye on, short term and long term. Okay. Long term, copper is a good economic indicator of building and so on. Okay. We had a pretty strong drop. Copper also precedes the market by, on average, by about 30 days. So if I'm seeing this and then going, hey, 30 days out, what could that mean? What time would that be? Could we expect a market correction around that time? Okay. Price had that drop due to tariffs and things like that, and pop. We're looking for demand right around that 4.30 area. Okay. Now, the nice part about trading futures is there's limited products that we follow that have a good volume, good place to get in, good place to get out, good profit potential. And we see the Dow is up into that fair value gap, and we're seeing the Nasdaq pushing through a little larger time frame. 23,710 would be the next place I'd look for that. Some sellers up there. S&P also moving up. We do have a larger time frame supply up there about that 64.16 area. Russell has given us a nice up and down move. Okay, back and forth on that, with demand still below and supply up above on the larger time frame. The Dow has supply zone around 44,448 and demand down here about 43,972. Now, the thing to keep in mind and watch for, okay, and keep observing is you got the 5, 10, and 30-year bonds and notes. Okay. These have now changed under this new administration, the Trump administration. Things are getting a little more back to normal. Bonds and notes go down while the indexes go up, and vice versa. Okay. The previous administration, it was just the opposite. Also bringing in some other information here, watching the US dollar. Okay, the US dollar is a great indication of market conditions. If you have the dollar going down, and I'm using an hourly chart here, just in the I'm basically looking at the last 5 or so candles here. Dollar moving lower while the 10 and the 2-year yield moving up tells us that the market conditions are a little more difficult for trading. Okay, we've associated with that. Okay, we're seeing the volatility index moving lower, which traders are becoming more complacent. Okay, the 10 and the 2-year yield moving higher, stocks are moving higher with it. That's not normal. Usually when the bonds and notes are moving up along with the dollar, okay, we'll see the equity indexes moving down. We got to watch a lot of these correlations, okay, and be very clear about your correlations and how you measure it. Much of the time when I'm looking at correlations, I'm looking at about the last 5 candles, okay? So I can look at the last 5 candles on an hourly chart. The last 5 hours on 10 and a 2-year yield have been moving up. The US dollar been moving sideways to down. They're not correlated. That's alerting me to keep my position size very small, okay? Keep my stop loss in place and anticipate market conditions are going to be a little more choppy, okay? All right, so where we have got our S&P still taking heat on that. Okay. Now, being stopped out of trading or being stopped out of a trade does not make you a loser. It makes you a trader. Okay. If I'm stopped out, I followed my trade plan. Okay. I had an entry, a planned entry, a planned stop, and a planned profit objective. Okay. Do not be worried, okay, or scared if you get stopped out of a trade when you follow your trade plan. Now, if you're stepping outside or don't have that trade plan, then you do need to get one in place. All right. That's cash market. We're one Dow stock down, and now we have 17 positive. So 16 times 2 is 36. Cash equals positive 36. S&P futures are trading at positive 40. See, what you're starting to see now is cash and futures are starting to balance out a little bit. And as cash and futures start to balance out, momentum slows up. Well, wait, we're 8 minutes away from another Fed speaker, and everybody's like kind of pulling back a little bit. We don't know what's going to happen. Okay, so the volume is starting to lighten up there. Okay. All right. We got the S&P. I'm just looking at a couple of other time frames here, just to kind of look around. Sorry, I didn't get these one cleaned up. Now, if you're trading products like the S&P futures, if you're trading NASDAQ futures, you should always be monitoring the exchange traded funds. Okay. Really get a good understanding that futures follow, they don't lead. So what the SPY is doing, whether the SPY is going into supply or demand, the SPY will move before the futures. But what moves the SPY? The stocks within the SPY, okay, or the NQ. So one of my workspaces that I have following the NQ, okay, I'll just drop this down to a smaller time frame, is monitoring the large market cap weighted stocks, okay? Kind of watching what they're doing. Are they in a position to go long? Or are they looking for pullback? Are they making lower highs? They're making higher lows, and so on. Stocks move first. Exchange traded fund moves second. And futures follow. Okay, remember, futures derive their price from the underlying. So the underlying are stocks and exchange traded funds. Okay. Once you start to make that connection that futures follow, they don't lead. Okay. You start using additional products that move. I mean, after all, the Globex is that computer. Okay. The Globex acronym for the computer, the order matching. Okay. That matches up all the order tickets. Okay. The Globex is also referred to as the overnight trading range. Okay. But the computer matches the trades. There's no floor traders on futures. Okay. There's no market makers. It's just a computer adjusting price up or adjusting price down. The computer's name is Globex. Okay. And that Globex computer adjusts price up or down based off of stocks, exchange traded fund, and then it adjusts. So you use this as a lead indicator. Okay. Anybody hold on to the S&P? Didn't get shaken out? I know I was getting a little nervous because I didn't want to get stopped out in front of everybody. The challenge of doing the live stream and live trading is you got to follow your trade plan. Okay. Now, people can call you out if you didn't follow your trade plan and you get stopped out. But if you're following it and you manage your risk, okay, which we did, okay, you'll be okay. Okay. All right. What else are we on? Russell still, oh, there we go. Russell came right back up into the zone. That's a pretty strong move on the Russell. Just right back up to support. Got Dow. Yeah, I still, for far as my trade plan and listed in our pre-market routine, okay, I avoid taking breakout trades on inside days, okay, because they tend to be a lot more choppy and whipsaw. I focus on zone entries, okay. All right, what else do we have? Everything seems to have quieted down. We're 2 minutes away from when the Fed's speaking. Okay, now keep in mind, and whenever a Fed or economic report comes out, remember we talked about the dissemination of information as well. Okay, the Fed must insert or give to the White House their opening comments, their speech, 24 hours in advance. Okay, every economic report. Let's see, Ken says, so if the stocks are gapping up in the pre-market, that means futures will gap up. Well, it doesn't mean the futures will gap up. What if futures are already up? Okay. Now, the stocks would indicate that the strength is with whether they're gapping up or gapping down. Okay. The stocks would indicate that strength. Remember, futures follow the cash market. Okay. So we look just like we did on the Dow or the S&P. We look to see if cash and futures were balanced. Okay. We had stocks that were gapping up, but the other piece of information on that, the stocks gapping up or down, how about that volume in the pre-market? Because you could have a pre-market stock like Goldman Sachs gapping up $6 on 50 shares traded. Okay, 100 shares traded. Now, how much weight are you going to give that when everybody starts trading at 9:30 a.m. Eastern? Okay, so there's a couple of other little variables. You have to dig a little deeper to see if that gapping up is going to be supported. It was Monday's session. Monday's session. We had what was it? Apple. We had Amazon. We had a big discrepancy in the pre-market volume. There was something that wasn't right. They were showing 126 million shares traded on, I think it was Amazon. Okay. Well, that wasn't right. Okay. So the volume and the gap up or gap down, okay, in the pre-market influences a lot of people and they make trading decisions off of that. But you have to look behind the curtain. Okay. Is volume supporting that move up or is volume supporting that move down? In observation, I can see that the volume is very light for IBM right now. Now, lighter volume, and look at Home Depot, Amgen, Travelers, only 107,000 shares traded. something's not right. The lighter the volume, the bigger the whipsaw, okay, or volatility we connect that with. And you put all these little nuggets of piece of information together to help you assess the trading environment, okay? I understand that I still have $180 risk on this trade, but I also understand the trading environment. So think about it like you're driving a car. You're driving your trading account, okay, like you drive your car. Now you drive your car dynamically, okay? You drive your car as an individual, but you drive your car as part of the crowd, okay? See, you can only go as fast or slow as the traffic conditions outside your vehicle. So what is going on outside your vehicle? You're trading the S&P, we're trading the S&P. What's going on outside cash market versus futures, Apple, NVIDIA, inside day, outside day. Okay, all of these things stack up to help you assess the risk. Okay, they help you understand the trading environment. Fed speaker coming out in 8 minutes. Okay, and we also had a Fed speaker that came out during the session yesterday, had a big impact on market. Okay, watching the news. Okay. Oh, here's a good indication. Got the fear index, the greed index. Okay. So this is implying that people are getting a little euphoric. Okay. All right. We have one more quiz question here and a giveaway for Elite Trader Funding as we're starting to come to the end of our session here. Okay. So get ready. First one that answers the question correctly. Why do many futures traders watch the US dollar index during the trading day? A, it shows the value of gold. B, it can influence commodity and equity prices. C, it tells you when the Federal Reserve meeting is. D, it predicts tomorrow's weather. Why do many futures traders watch the US dollar? A, shows the value of gold. B, can influence commodity prices. What was that letter? D, it predicts the weather. Nope, I don't think it does that. See, during the trading session, the dollar is a great indication of what the bigger players are doing to maneuver. Okay, so I'm always monitoring the US dollar. I compare the US dollar again with the 10 and the 2-year yield. If they're correlated, the conditions for trading are much easier. If they're not correlated, where the dollar moving lower, yields moving higher, then I know the market conditions are going to be a little more difficult. I often get stopped out in those conditions. Okay. And then we compare that with the 5, 10, 30-year bonds and notes. Okay. So did anybody get the correct question on that? Okay. Again, I want to thank Elite Trader Funding for providing those eval accounts for us. And we're able to share those with you. Let's take one look around at the markets to get a good idea of what we're doing. Please make sure you like and subscribe so you get an alert on that when we do our live trading. And we pretty much do our live trading live stream every Friday. All right, nice job, Robert. Again, get that activated right away and start using it. And also check out their site and get involved in their Discord room as well. Okay. All right, so we've had the Fed speaker on deck. I don't see where they're giving any notes yet. Oh, okay, there's a news that came out a couple minutes ago. US and Russia are said to plan a Ukraine deal, cementing Russia's gains. Yeah, there's rumor that Zelensky might be some drama around him. Be nice when that stuff is over, but okay. I'm just going to take a quick look around. I'm going to see what our large market cap weighted stocks are doing. In trading the NASDAQ, S&P, and the Dow, many of these stocks are listed on all of those indexes. These are some of the large market cap weighted stocks that tend to move the markets. Okay. We're seeing Tesla's up $8. Google, Alphabet's up, Broadcom, Nvidia, Apple, Amazon's down a little bit, and Meta. Okay. Now, with all these large market cap stocks continuing to push higher, the risk is going to be higher to take a trade short. Okay. But that doesn't mean it's a place to take a trade long. Okay. You got to wait for a pullback into a demand zone in order to execute on that. Okay. Natural gas, kind of quietly trading around. We got crude oil. Okay, that was the reaction 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago from the Russia and Ukraine. And the price came right down to that zone. All right. And I'll leave you with this. Inside days are a lot more difficult trading. Okay. They can be choppy, designed to take your money. Stay safe. It is a Good Friday. Don't give back your weekly gains. And we're still going to need a pullback in order to participate in a long trade. Okay. Thanks everybody for their likes and subscribes, and appreciate everybody out there coming to our live stream. And take advantage of some of our 8/8 sales specials today. So that pre-market routine course is a great chunk of information for you. Okay. Thank you, team, and thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you over in the Discord rooms. Thank you, team, for all your hard work behind the scenes. Bye now.